Okay, something pretty interesting just happened. For all of you that do not know, the US government is considering fraud charges against Binance. I'm a big fan of Binance, but please consider that whenever things like this come out, the market panics a little bit, so I want you guys to be prepared. Now, I am recording this piece right after I recorded the rest of the video, but I just had to insert this bit of breaking news in there because it is pretty significant. Binance is the center of the crypto ecosystem, and so whenever these types of announcements are made, people fear a little bit, so I want you guys to be prepared for that also. Having said that, make sure you press the like button because at the end of the day, it's all a charade, and I believe firmly, and I've shared that with you guys many times, of manipulation in the crypto market. Yet I'm also man enough to say it doesn't really matter too much. Because if you can't make money in a manipulated market, you're just playing the game wrong. It's the only way I can say it. I mean, if we're taking a serious look, if we're just looking at what Ripple is doing, for example, or what's happening for the XRP ledger, does it really matter that a lot is being suppressed? Does it really matter that they're trying to shut it down or trying to privilege other cryptos? I mean, take a look at this news. The Bank of England adopts Ripple's interledger protocol for payment settlement. Now, is all this stuff new? No, because the majority of the articles that I keep seeing are rehashed. But it's the idea that matters, and it's about what's going on in the background, because a lot of things, guys, oh, you know what? Let me actually show you it through matter of a video by Monica Long, the president of Ripple. Take a look at this.
So it's been a couple of weeks now since the judge's ruling in our case, providing clarity that XRP is not a security, which we're very happy about. It gives us a lot of clarity in terms of how Ripple will operate its business going forward. And we are, re-engaging with a lot of the U.S. market. But really, a lot of our growth over the years has been outside of the U.S. I think that's reflective of where there is regulatory clarity. Places like the U.K., Europe, Singapore, Dubai in the Middle East. These are jurisdictions that have provided clear frameworks and rules. So that's where we see a lot of growth for our business around payments.
Yeah, and Monica, the UK was singled out as one of the big countries in the Statista report as one of the big hubs for fintech. Is that a country where you're looking to kind of up your investment, particularly as the UK wants to become a crypto hub with specific regulations tailored to crypto companies? Is that where you're looking to put more of your operations going forward?
Absolutely. So our large hub offices, of course, we have a presence in the US, but our presence in London has grown significantly over the years. That office has more than doubled in size, and we have a pretty large footprint in terms of our customer base throughout Europe and the Middle East. Dubai is another key office for us, as well as Singapore. So we've seen a lot of growth through Europe, Middle East, Asia Pacific, and Latin America has been a region that has certainly been heating up for us. We have a key office there in Sao Paulo.
And two very important things became known in that video. One, Ripple is re-engaging again with a lot of the lost partners over in the US. And so what I stated earlier to you guys over the last couple of days, that many partnerships are being worked on that have yet to fully come to light, mostly on the front that they're just not quite ready, but they're coming, is now being reaffirmed by the president of Ripple. But a second one becomes critically important to my claims earlier in this video. And before I tell you that, make sure you press that like button if you haven't done it yet. I'm waiting, so make sure you press that button. But that claim is that if you're being manipulated in any way, shape, or form, you're being suppressed, your opinion is not trying to be heard, your business is not allowed to operate in a jurisdiction, you make sure you get what you want elsewhere. And in this case here, they chose the UK. I mean, if the US wants to mess themselves up and not allow cryptocurrencies, you move. And, whether or not the US is on a downward spiral is up to interpretation. I mean, take a look at this video.
I will end the disaster known as Bidenomics. That was supposed to be a negative term. He liked the name so much, he's going around saying how wonderful it is. If you love inflation and a bad economy, let's go for it. Since taking office, Joe Biden has wrecked our economy.
Now, whether or not you agree with that man, it doesn't really matter. What we do know, and when the point being there, is that the U.S. has just not been in its best shape in terms of market functioning. And Robert Kiyosaki, a very famous author, even warns that the U.S. dollar is toast, says Bitcoin is the hedge against criminal money. Now, I don't like these man's statements most of the time, but I do agree for the most part with his vision that cryptocurrencies are more trustworthy than the fiat/US dollar. If you really start thinking about debt or just the situation in general, we can actually expand upon it here. First shoe to drop, Fitch Rating Services downgrades U.S. credit rating from AAA to AA+. Brace for crash landing. Sorry for the bad news, yet I've been warning for over a year. The Fed, Treasury, big corp CEOs have smoking, won't necessarily say that, but, debt ceiling was changed. Things are changing. Crypto really is in a better position than ever. And if they don't want to accept that, with the interesting actions over at the SEC, I keep saying and sharing with you guys, there need to be more investigations into them. And right now we are seeing the chairman of the Oversight Committee, Rep. James Comer, has launched an investigation into the SEC's use of IPA, Intergovernmental Personnel Act, which allows for temporary hiring of skilled employees. Comer says some of the SEC's hirings of division heads in long-term positions appear to undermine the IPA, which Gian says someone is doing their homework, somebody is caring, somebody is taking a proper look, at the Oversight Committee. But if they're not following the road that's best for the economy, basically, you get the crap out of there. And so a lot of people are doing this from the perspective of taking the money out of the flawed US dollar ecosystem. And a lot of others are saying, hey, let's quit the US altogether. I'm not saying, hey, leave your country, right? Please, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying at the end of the day, people will find out the best option. In this case, for the most people, crypto is such an eye-opener, but yeah. There are other parties, by the way, that have different opinions on this. Grayscale sees crypto recovery tied to the U.S.'s soft landing. The crypto market rebound can continue if the U.S. economy achieves a soft landing, Grayscale said in a report. Macroeconomic factors are now the biggest risk to crypto valuations, and a continued rebound will depend on the ability of the U.S. economy to achieve the so-called soft landing that would avoid a recession, digital asset manager Grayscale said in a report Tuesday. If the economy stumbles or the Federal Reserve raises real rates further, the crypto recovery may pause over the near term, Grayscale Research Director Zach Pondy said. Now, before we move on, I will tell you guys again, make sure you check out the link down below to Bybit, as right now you can claim yourself $1,125 for free worth of an XRP trade with a link down below. And there's also an $8 million competition right now that you might want to join. I've left a link to our squad, our trading squad, over in the Telegram, so you might want to check that out. It's just a massive competition. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Or over on BitGet, if you check it out, you can actually get yourself a lot of juicy spins on this prize wheel for absolutely free. Might want to check it out. A link for that is also down below. And to continue on, the whole video's narrative here was to actually state that manipulation will happen all the time. And it can just keep saying, oh, but there's manipulation, that's why we can't make money. But no, I see it vastly different. And it is, once you understand the manipulation, you understand the idea that right now, for example, XRP is being suppressed so hard because of what's happening in the background. It's not affecting the price. Bitcoin, in terms of ETFs, what's happening, but they're suppressing the price. Most likely, and that is my own opinion, it's gearing up to something. Once you understand that, it's so powerful. Just for fun, take a look at Bitcoin's volatility here over the last week. You can see it basically moved nothing in this whole period. Why? That's hard to say. But how can it move so little in all that period when people are so eager for it to move somewhere and are so eager to make it pop, make it do something? I mean, if we're really starting to look at the numbers, cryptocurrencies have started to perform significantly better over the last couple of weeks. And that is mostly from a fundamental perspective that we're just not seeing this downside anymore. And it seems to most people, and me as well, that the dip of the dip is in, the bottom is in, and the radical shift is happening, but ever so slowly. Again, we're seeing two sides. One is the regulation front, which is just bad in the US, and they're pressuring a lot. But on the opposite side, we've got good factors. Bitcoin ETF right now, new Ethereum ETF filings as well. We've got proper SEC investigations. Even though not for every part, we're starting to see them. We're starting to see positive reaffirmations of Ripple's business over in the US, which is positive, yet prices are not coming up. What's keeping them down? You might say, oh yeah, it really is regulations. Doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. I think for the most part here, the guys have chosen, and when I say guys, I mostly just mean potentially a little council of market makers. It's hard because they don't really communicate in that fashion, but from a certain perspective, these exchanges have a lot of control over what happens. And that does not mean they have control to say, hey, let's push Bitcoin to $60,000 right now, because that's pretty significantly difficult. But I will say they can play a role in trying to minimize specific price movements. With terms of suppression, but also in theory, any government could step in and actually try to, shut the movement down for a significant bunch of time, because at the end of the day, the market is only $1.17 trillion, is not that much, and the volume of Bitcoin here is $21 billion. It's really, realistically speaking, not that much for it to be controlled. Today, XDC is up about 20%, while a lot of other coins like Litecoin are down 6%. The market's moving in a strange fashion. And I'm guessing Litecoin is dumping because of the halving, but why is the rest moving so odd? If you want more negativity, I'm seeing a lot of articles with connections to China. Binance did monthly transactions worth $90 billion in banned China. And also this, the US government is launching an investigation into the $9 trillion asset manager BlackRock over Chinese investments. I'm just going to tell you right here, this stuff is an everlasting loop. A lot of people have said the manipulation is coming from Chinese money, because again, the Ethereum connections with China and the investments in consensus / the companies around Ethereum have been interesting to watch. I shouldn't say investment into consensus directly. I should say investments with consensus into Ethereum fundamentals. It has been an interesting journey. And then now to see BlackRock in this little debacle as well. It's an everlasting story, but it's an interesting one. And people are saying, no, the manipulation is from that perspective. Yeah, and perhaps that's what's causing a little bit of a ruckus right now as well. Let the circus begin, a lot of people have said. Ooh, we actually just got some breaking news right now. I might edit this earlier into the video in some way, shape, or form as well. The US government is considering fraud charges against Binance. Ooh, no, wow. I mean, we talked earlier about Mr. Sam Bankman-Fried going for some juicy claims back, right? You guys remember the quotes where Sam Bankman-Fried said, you will get what's coming for you, basically. No, but together with the AAA rating, things are moving in an interesting fashion for the crypto space. I'm going to insert this a little bit earlier into the video, potentially as a new start. I might have to redo the start of the video, but damn. Yeah, just things are getting interesting, guys. Understand, a lot of this is already planned in. They know the game, they know what they're doing. But let's see how the markets are going to take this one, because that is interesting. It's not official, but it's some allegations and considerations. Ooh, that's interesting.